Friday, final day of the week. These are the voyages of the program Unsportsmanlike Conduct. Its ongoing mission: to explore strange new movies, to seek out new bits and new, to boldly go where no radio program has gone before. Well, Kent's Movie Club. It's El Kent's Movie Club. El Kent's Movie Club. It's El Kent's Movie Club.
It has been 3 long weeks since we've been able to say, hello, Kent.
Oh, did you clone Nick? I got Nick cloned.
Yeah, it does kind of does.
Oh,
it.
yeah, it does. There's
Yeah.
2 Nicks here today.
That's true.
Should I move to one other side?
No.
No, I think you should stay
I
right
like
where
it.
you are, so we get like so
Double
it looks
the
like
Nick.
there's many
Hello,
of us.
me.
Double the Nick, double the fun. It's double mint gum.
Nice.
You know what? You know what we could do? We could like triple the fun by bringing in our new friend of the Grum, Jesus Nick.
Oh, no, we don't need Jesus Nick.
Jesus
We don't
Nick.
need Jesus Nick.
Hi, Jesus me.
Kent, how was your holiday weekend?
It was perfectly fine.
Good.
Until the Raiders game.
Oh.
On the other hand, just lose, baby. We want that number 1 pick.
Well, maybe, you know what? We didn't even think about that. Maybe that's the reason why they screwed up the end of that game.
They want Shador.
They want that number 1 pick.
Uh-huh.
They and the Giants in a race for the cellar. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, this week's movie is Deadpool and Wolverine. It is streaming on Disney Plus.
Yes.
So weird to open up an R-rated movie on Disney Plus. I just found it odd.
Yeah.
Because I just think of that more as a kid's app, not for adults.
Are you just going to stand and squat like that the whole time?
My knees hurt if I crouch.
Oh, you don't have a chair.
No
I don't
chair
have a
for
chair.
Nick.
Well,
All right.
Nick, tell us about Deadpool and Wolverine.
So, Deadpool and Wolverine is the 3rd movie in the Deadpool trilogy, but more than anything, it's a love letter send-off to the Fox Marvel Cinematic Universe, which, low-key, really good. People forget that before we got Iron Man in 2008, the only place that was really doing these Marvel movies was Fox. They gave us Spider-Man, the Fantastic Four movies, the old ones, not the new ones.
X-Men.
All the X-Men movies, which are insanely successful and very loved. And even Blade and Elektra, all those other characters that everybody kind of forgot about, this movie gave them one last chance in the spotlight and said goodbye to them, and it sent them off in a good and funny kind of way. And it also kind of blended together the Fox Marvel Universe with the new current Marvel Universe in a way that I thought was very well done. It was kind of the transitional movie.
That's a pretty good representation of what the movie was.
I'm not going to lie. So I saw this last summer in
Yep.
the theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was our, for our Knoxville guys trip, and we always pick a movie.
The
Boys trip.
I not that I couldn't follow it when I was there. I could. But then when I just went on Wiki today, just so I had the notes in front of me, and I started reading the plot, I'm like, man, I didn't remember any of this
Well, you
stuff.
should have rewatched
Yeah,
it, John.
John, you
Well,
goober.
no, but that was the point. Was it? These movies have gotten so meta in terms of all the time travel. I'm just like, I was completely lost. Now, that said, I enjoyed it for what it was,
Mm-hmm.
and I kind of understood what was going on. But, man, they have gotten so complicated with all the different universes and the crossing of the this and the that and the other thing that it's like, I don't know how anyone follows
I
this stuff.
think, I'm sorry, this movie did a good job making fun of that, too.
Yes, it
I
did.
thought.
It did.
Yeah, and Kent, before you go, so I was once a huge Marvel fan. I would see every movie, not all of them in theaters, but I watched them all. I watched the first 2 or 3 shows, and now I've completely fallen off. And so this was interesting because while I did like the X-Men movies back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I was a fan of them. I have not seen all of them, and I certainly have not seen all of the other ones. or all of the other, 20th Century Fox movies. And so there was a lot of stuff in here where I would pause it and I'd be like, who is that in reference to? Who is that character? What is going on here? And I remember, Kent, when this movie came out, I had no desire to see it. I was just kind of tired of all of this stuff. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was funny, and I thought that it obviously had a lot of callbacks, and it made fun of a ton of stuff. But I thought it also had more heart than I was expecting in a movie like this. Especially, I mean, the Ryan Reynolds Deadpool movies, I don't really consider them full of heart. I think they're funny more than anything. I really enjoyed this, though.
It's not as much fun the second time.
Really? Interesting.
Because the jokes, right? This is this is about the jokes, right? In large part, right? There's some emotional content, but it's mostly the jokes and the setup and you can either see this as a love letter to those past Marvel movies, or you can see it as a cynical move on the part of Disney to link the Fox characters and the Fox movies with the current Marvel movies. And in one of the many breaking the fourth wall or insider, whatever you want to call it, remarks that Deadpool says to Wolverine toward the end of the movie, Fox killed him off, and now Disney's bringing him back, going to make him work till he's 90.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because, Ken, I was thinking the same thing, because I saw the last Wolverine movie. Wasn't it just called Wolverine?
I thought it was Logan.
Logan. I saw that in theaters, and that was awesome, and it was super emotional, and spoiler alert, he dies, and it's like, wow, like, this is really, really cool. And so, yeah, it does feel cynical that it's like, all right, welcome back. Everyone can get rose from the dead in all of these movies. Like, Robert Downey's going to be coming back at some point in time,
Dr.
right?
Doom, though.
It's just like, I don't know. It does feel very tired.
And the reason for some of the reason for the convoluted plotting, to say the least, or hard to follow or whatever, or too much is, did you look at the credits? Did you follow my magic rule before the credits? Any movie that has more than 2 screenwriters is going to be a narrative mess.
And wasn't it 5?
5 of them on this one.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously Reynolds gets credited for it because those are ad libs. He's just riffing, so they have to give him a screenplay credit. But so there were basically 4 writers. 4 writers, you get a movie like this. I don't care what the movie is.
Yeah.
I really thought a lot of the jokes landed really well. My favorite one probably was the Chris Evans joke, because that also just made fun of, like, hey, he's Captain America, but also people forget he was Johnny's
and
Thor.
I literally had forgotten that he was, because I never saw that was Fantastic Four.
Yeah, that was the OG.
I never saw any of the Fantastic Four movies.
I loved those movies, the 2 that they made. And I saw them like, oh crap, they're gonna do a Captain America thing. And then as soon as he said flame on, I'm like, oh my, they wrote that joke so well. That was such a well done joke. I thought the Gambit joke was really funny because with what's the guy's name? 21 Jump Street. Channing
Depp.
Channing Tatum.
Oh, Channing Tatum.
Other 21 Jump Street. That was a nod to
that was a TV show.
Yeah.
Because they were naming off, oh, there's Blade, there's Elektra, so and so. Oh, who are you? There was supposed to be a Gambit movie in the works, and when Disney bought Fox, it got canned right away. So it was there was a lot of really fun, fourth wall jokes because it's a Deadpool movie, but I thought the way it was handled, and I'm obviously coming at this from a very biased viewpoint because I love a lot of these movies. I grew up on a lot of these
Bayman
movies.
writes, wait, Nick loved the Fantastic Four movies.
The first ones, not the new one. New one.
See, again, and this is where this whole universe loses me, because we make one and then we remake them right away. Like with Spider-Man, I'm like, my mind is like, okay, I'm out.
The only reason they did they remade Fantastic Four was so Fox or Sony or whoever could keep the rights to it. That's literally all it was. They didn't care. It was a bad movie. Nobody cared about that movie. They did it for the money. But the first few were good.
Yeah. I'm sure they were great.
Mm.
I will say, because I had not seen any of the Deadpool. I actually had never seen any of the Wolverine or
X-Men.
I've never seen any of those. So
Good
for me,
Lord.
just to like, yeah,
What?
but again,
How could you know what was going on?
Well,
if you
that's-
hadn't seen them.
exactly.
So they seem
Exactly.
like movies that you would like.
But again, because we've constantly introduced and then reintroduced new characters, and we're time traveling, we're doing all this stuff. I've equated it many times, to, we just now have a battle royal where it's like, I just bring in every superhero and bring them in there and they just start fighting. And it's like, at some point, it's a point of diminishing returns because you can't make the explosions more explosiony. Okay. So I just kind of checked out of all of it. But I will say this for this movie, and, the Deadpool character, and Ryan Reynolds does a great job. Now, sometimes it can be a little too much because he always seems like he plays the same type of character no matter what movie he's
Smart
in.
ass.
He's a smart ass, but he's a good smart ass.
He's very good.
He's a great-
And I
Smartass.
thought that Hugh Jackman playing off of him was good too. I thought it was kind of a good odd couple,
Definitely.
comedy pairing. And so even though I'm parachuting into this universe, having never really been there outside of, seeing a handful of Iron Man movies, that I still was entertained because,
They're
they're entertaining. It's a bunch of fights. It's a bunch of explosions.
And some
You get to
jokes.
see Jennifer Garner in tights again. That's always a good thing. I was fine with it.
And Kent, you know what? I thought the villain was really good. I'd never seen that villain before, but her power to like crawl into people's minds, that was good stuff.
That's gross.
Yep, that was good. The whole how do you want to say, all of that works and it entertains, right? And it's made our boy Ryan Reynolds a very, 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 very rich man
Yes.
Mhm.
because he was smart enough to get a percentage of starting with the first Deadpool. So this was the highest grossing R-rated movie of all time.
Crazy. Take that, Passion
I
of the
mean-
Christ.
Ryan Reynolds does have a very personal stake in Deadpool because I remember I was in high school when the first teaser trailer or whatever dropped before it was really anything. So I was a part of that wave of teenagers and all these kids who were like, oh my God, this looks amazing. We need to get this made. And because of that little teaser thing, he was able to parlay that into just turning it into a full-on movie, a full series. Ryan Reynolds, and even in X-Men Origins Wolverine, he played Wade Wilson, but it wasn't Deadpool, but it was the guy.
Wade Wilson, the Vikings quarterback?
Nice.
Yes.
Great reference.
But he has always hated that portrayal of Deadpool or Wade or whatever in that movie, that he wanted to go and make a comic accurate thing for people. And I'm sure money was a big factor in it too.
Yes, Nick. Of
But
course
I
it was.
don't think that it's just as cynical as just the money, though. That's what I'm saying. I feel like it's not you.
I'm just confused what the point that you're trying to make is.
The point I'm trying to make is
Why are we talking about this?
I don't think it's just about the money, and I think that we shouldn't take that kind of cynical outlook on it.
No way. You can't not take that cynical outlook when the whole movie is acknowledging how cynical the movie is.
That is true.
The whole movie is we are cynical.
And I think that was one of the reasons why I enjoyed it. So even though, again, I wasn't totally immersed in the whole plot, I kind of got enough of it. But I could tell they were making fun of all of it. And it was all a big cynical thing. And I like cynicism. So it was funny to me.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. And
Okay,
it's been so popular.
Yes, it has.
They're going to do another one. Now, how they're going to do that, who knows? But I just read yesterday or the day before that there's going to be a sequel in the works here.
So it'll be Deadpool and Wolverine too? Like that's what's happening?
Uh-huh. I mean, I who knows what they'll call it. Yeah, but it's Deadpool and Wolverine too. So Hugh Jackman may indeed have to work until he's not.
We have
90 years old.
we have definitely reached late stage comic book movies, and I wonder.
Yes.
I do wonder what their future is because like they were printing money and like the anticipation for the final Avengers movie, which is now 5.5 years ago. Like I remember that, like the whole marketing campaign behind that and just how pumped people were. And now everyone is just tired. And so I'm very curious to see, beyond a cynical movie like this, what just like normal superhero movies look like moving forward, because it doesn't seem like the audience is responding to them like they did.
Not as they once did. And part of it is, I believe this is the 35th Marvel movie.
Sheesh.
Wow. Only?
It's a lot.
Actually, you know what, Nick?
Any of the
You got a
TV
good point
stuff. This is the 35th theatrical Marvel movie.
Wow. Yeah, and then you throw in all the shows. That's a lot of stuff.
And all the TV shows. So they're beating the horse pretty hard. And I have the same question. Has it burned itself out?
Well, how many current streaming series in this universe are there going on right now?
God.
I think it's just Agatha is the only main one right now, right?
Okay,
I'm sure they have something that is in the works, though. But
Yeah.
but since Disney Plus came on board, they have probably done a dozen
Is it
live
that
action
many?
streaming
Jeez.
shows. Yeah, and I was watching. I remember the first few of them. I watched all the episodes, and then we got to a point where both Chris and I, it seemed like we got burnt out at the same time, and we're like, "Nah, I'm good."
What killed it for me, I really liked WandaVision, but it was not the Captain America one, the Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and Winter Soldier.
That
show sucked.
It sucked, and that burned me out.
That one was awful.
Well,
Yeah.
Loki, I did watch Loki.
Loki
I
was
guess.
good, and
Loki
Loki
was
had
good.
like the time stuff
Yeah.
that this had as well.
But I think they've just beat this horse for so long, and they can't. And there aren't fresh characters left, really.
No,
for it.
and Ken, you know what it is too is you get so far into a series, and it ended with all those Avengers movies, and those are full of movie stars. It's famous people that are on the big screen. It's like, I know who Robert Downey Jr. is. I know who Chris Evans is. At least with this, you got Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman. Then they're trying to create a bunch of new stars, and it's really, really difficult to get the same buy-in. Plus, I mean, like, say what you will about all the goofiness with time travel and stuff, like, that story was building to Avengers Endgame. And that was it's in the title. It was an end. And that's what I really liked about it. And it's hard to come back from that, right? Where it's like, you thought you were telling a story and that the story for the most part was finished. All right, well, now how do you top it? How do you top a guy who snapped his finger and eliminated half of the population? You can't. And they're still trying to. It's really difficult.
Yep.
So then what's the challenge next? I mean, do you just keep milking this thing for as desperately long as you can? Or are we going to have, and when I say we, the studios, Hollywood, are we going to have to try to find something else, or has the ship so changed? Because if you think about it, the promulgation of these comic book movies, the big blockbusters, certainly COVID had a big factor. But how we absorb movies today ain't like it used to be. You had to go to the theater to see the film. So every film that came out in a theater. Now it's streaming services. So the only things you get in the theaters anymore are the real artsy films at the smaller studios or these giant blockbusters. Where do we go from here? What kind of storytelling is going to get people back in the theaters, or is this all we have left?
Two answers to that question. One is this kind of movie is not going to go away. I think Disney has to find a way to kind of restart some of these, and I don't know that you couldn't go back and do Fantastic Four and do it well and turn that into its own kind of series or something like that. That I think the other thing that we've seen just recently, in fact, is some of the more, I don't know exactly the right way to put it, adult drama type films are starting to make a comeback. And the one most notably I'd point to is Conclave, the movie about the picking the new pope that stars Ray Fiennes and Stanley Tucci and Lithgow, and it's a really good movie. And it did very well at the box office, and it drew a crowd that wasn't the superhero crowd, right?
Yeah.
And so I see that as happening. And then, as you said, these quote little movies are starting to get a little bit bigger, and in the sense that I think that audience has found itself theatrically a little bit. So you have movies like Anora, which I would highly recommend. It's in theaters right now. It's about a New York City sex worker who falls for or takes advantage of a Russian immigrant or a Russian prince, I guess you could call him. You know, he's the son of an oligarch and just spends money like crazy. It may be the best movie of the year, and it's playing, you know, mainstream type theaters. And so I think you got some of that. So I think it's a combination, but I think the pressure is really, to me, on Disney because they own every one of these properties. If you think about it, they've got the Marvel, they've got Star Wars. You know, you start looking, it's the pressures on Disney to kind of come up with a way to throw some energy back into these superheroes like franchise type films.
Well, that is Deadpool and Wolverine. It's on Disney Plus. And no doubt there'll be many more like it coming out in the very near future. Do we know what's on tap for next summer's blockbusters? Do we know yet?
Oh, I don't even know.
Nick,
I know Paul Thomas Anderson has a new movie coming out next year.
I thought Nick would know some of this stuff.
I don't.
You don't?
I don't.
Okay. Well.
Oh no.
Uh-huh.
I can
Looking over your shoulder.
I can determine that if I had an actual computer that I wasn't on here with. I could in about 30 seconds determine most of those. So
Chance says there's a new Superman movie coming out.
Is there?
yeah, yes, indeed, there is.
Who's Superman this time?
I know who it's not.
What a lame ass character.
Oh,
Dumb
it
hero.
is not.
Oh, my power is everything.
But he has a weakness. It's called kryptonite.
A rock.
And again, with any of these movies, what makes these movies is how good your bad guy is. If you can find someone as good as Gene Hackman to play Lex Luthor, you're going to be fine. There you go. It's always about the bad guys, just like the Bond films.
Hey,
it's always about the
why
bad
do
guys.
people love The Dark Knight? Joker,
the bad guys.
Yep.
The bad guys
Or Bane.
always make the film. Always. I mean, the good guys, yes, important, but if you got a good bad guy, everything else takes care of itself.
Yeah.
That's an oxymoron.
There's John's movie 101 for you today.
Nice.
And that really held true with this movie. The most interesting thing in the movie was whatever her name was.
Yeah, she was awesome. I thought she was a great villain.
Yeah.